Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great day. Today we're going to build together a cottage using only Cottage Living and the base game. I really love that pack. I love the vibes and I love all the build items, but I can't help but feel sometimes that I'm not using everything as much as I could. So I wanted to keep this like still a tiny home because I had like a vision of a pond in the backyard, which is coming, but I wanted to actually use as much of the pack as I could. Now you're gonna see me build a pond in the backyard in a bit. I know it can be very intimidating to use the terrain tool because it can just wreck your entire build in seconds, but my biggest tip that I can offer you is to go slow. At the bottom of my screen, you're gonna see that the last option is of speed and I have it on the lowest setting. You should always go for that if you're not very confident of the shape you're using or even the depth of what you're building. It's super helpful. And you can always just erase it and start over. So the terrain tool can be amazing for giving realism to your builds. So you should try it. You can always, as I said, you can just start over. If it looks awful, if it wrecks your build entirely, you can just erase it. For me, I think it added a lot of like whimsical vibes to it, or more cottage core vibes. I don't know. And also, if it's like a body of water, you should always fill it up with water, obviously. It may seem obvious now that I'm saying it, but I look at all the time I spend like building and I wasn't filling it up with water. So that's like a actually great tip. If it's water, fill it up from the beginning so you can actually see what you're building. I changed up the water now that I remember, and it looks dirty. I hated it. And it was my mom who took a peek while I was building this, and she was genuinely confused. She was like, "What? So is that like the vibe you're going for? Dirty?" And I was like, "No." Fully confident that I was giving fairy, obviously not. So we will change it to blue in a bit. But for now, we're just gonna have to deal with this dirty pond. For now, we can actually talk about the landscape, which I really enjoyed. I'm not a fan. I actually take a lot of ideas from Pinterest or other builds because I have zero creativity for like the outside of a home. But for this, what I found that worked for me was taking a bunch of plants that had similar tones of green, because even in the same category they're not the same. So I took a bunch of different plants that were matching tones of green and I placed a lot of them. Like if you see, I only placed 2 types of trees and like 4 types of plants, maybe 5, and I repeated those over and over and over, and it ended up looking beautiful. I uploaded a short video of only the backyard of this because of how much effort I put into it. I changed a lot of the layout of the home, so for now we're gonna see some type of dog, and in a while it's gonna be completely different. I blame it on the fact that I hate doing the layout. I want to know already since I started the building how it's gonna be, and for this I went blindly and I ended up changing it. That always happens to me. Every time I don't plan the layout ahead and I try to go blindly, I end up changing it over and over. So I don't enjoy that. I want to know the layout so I can build from that. For this, I wanted like a small cottage and I tried to build the outside first, but I did have to cut a lot of footage from that because I hated it. And actually, what you're seeing right now ended up being a bathroom. So I can say I'm good at this. And now that I'm looking at it, those are the couches from Seasons that I screwed up and I placed on the first round of this build. On the final version, I corrected it, but when I uploaded it to the gallery, it had the Seasons tag, and I was panicking, like, oh no, they're gonna hate it. And then I realized that no one's actually downloading my stuff or paying attention to what I'm doing or listening to my videos. If you are, thank you. But just know that I'm doing this for fun. exclusively. So while I did panic a bit, I realized like, oh, I can just change it. Like the world's not gonna end. And the gallery and this video does have a full-on cottage living version, so you can download that. Now that we're on the topic of the cottage living stuff, we must talk about this kitchen set. I mean, I know everyone, every single simmer out there loves cottage living as much as I do, but I need to talk about this kitchen set with someone. I mean, it's beautiful. I generally think if I had to only use one kitchen set, I would choose this. I love the sink, I love the stove, I love the fridge, I love the colors. Genuinely, like, they were so right about all the decisions that they made, and I love how all the furniture can fit that same color. I think I didn't end up with this color scheme, but I did try. I sure as hell tried. But I don't know, it does look a bit monochromatic. So maybe for like a tiny space like this, it wouldn't work. But if you're building like a bigger home and you want like a kitchen, dining space to match, I think it's a great idea that everything has a version that will look good with other stuff from the same pack. I mean, it's a thing we don't really get a lot from, just matching woods, which is ridiculous, but we don't. We don't get, or we struggle to get like the same type of woods, and I think this pack really offered that. What you just saw there was my very sad attempt at making a living room with no space, which ended up being a sofa in a cross stitch box. But still, I could fit as much of the cottage living as I could. And for the bedroom, I wanted it to keep. What am I doing there? Oh, wow. That was so frustrating. And there was no reason for me to keep that in the video, but I think it looks funny. I'm gonna keep it. Yes. Why do I talk so much about liking to build in The Sims when I'm obviously so bad at it? I can't. Do I like it or do I just have this love hate relationship by now? I'm fully dependent on it, that's for sure. But what I was trying to say was that I didn't want to build a wall because it closed up the space too much, so I built this half wall and those obviously very hard to place columns. And this kind of studio layout open concept is what we ended up with. I changed a bunch of the furniture, but still the layout is the same, which is what I mean by saying that I struggle so much with the layout. I change it over and over. I hate it. I start over. A lot of the builds I start, I can't finish them because I can't figure out the layout unless I do that first. So maybe that's the way to go sometimes. Maybe I should just start from the inside and do whatever I want on the outside based on the layout that I already have. But I don't know, I see a lot of beautiful houses that I want to recreate on The Sims, but then I can't figure out what to do inside. So it's very frustrating for me. Unless I'm playing with like a family, it's weird. When I'm playing with a family or like a specific sim and I want to build them a house, or I've been playing for a while with them and I want to renovate their house, I don't struggle as much. Recently, I've been playing with an off the grid family that I want to be like. I want it to be like a legacy while off the grid. I don't have eco lifestyle, so it's just pretending that it's off the grid and using a lot of off the grid appliances. But I've been having a lot of fun, and every time I try to renovate their house, it's so easy. The problem is being fully creative. Like, if I'm not doing like a wacky build or for a family or a sim, I struggle a lot. I do blame it on like my short attention span, that if I'm not fully on it, and since the beginning, I hate it and I want to drop it. But I'm still trying, so a way of forcing myself to try a bit harder was to start uploading on YouTube. Now let's talk a bit more about the build. I tried using a lot of the decor from Cottage Living. I still don't understand why we have like two paintings when we could have gotten so much more. But on game, you can actually do the cross stitch and place it on the wall. So that's a lot of like not free decoration but extra decoration that you can do yourself, which is again great for those all the great challenges, or if you want like a fully DIY challenge where you do all the woodworking, do all the repairs, do all the gardening. You can do all the paintings and do cross stitch and just place it on the walls. So that's a different alternative. But since I didn't want to use that just yet, I just went with the normal paintings. And that little painting looks so sad in there. I'm pretty sure I changed it. In here, I tried going for a lot of plants inside and placing those vines. Don't look at me and tell me they look good, because they don't. I hated them. I do delete them, but I thought, hey, if you want to use them and don't know how to use them inside, maybe this is a good idea for you. Not for me, but at least not in this build. Oh yeah, I also added that desk, mainly because I wanted to add the typewriter, which I haven't done, but I will in a bit. But yeah, it was mainly to make it like a working space. I'm not sure if a sim that lives here would generally use a computer so much, but maybe a typewriter, write some books, live off of that. I don't know. Now I think we're gonna add a bit more to the kitchen. Maybe some cabinets. Yeah, this is where we added the cabinets. I think I like the look of it now more without the cabinets. Now that I'm looking at it again, I think it looks prettier. I'm sorry. Maybe you don't. That's a good thing that it's my build. I decided how it ended up looking. And for this half wall, I needed to add those plants. If you don't know how to raise items, which I'm pretty sure there are a lot of videos online, but as a reminder, you just need to make sure that it's the bb.move objects on sheet is on, and then you just raise them with the 9 key. If you have something nearby that it can clip onto, just know that it will try to clip onto it. That's why you see a lot of YouTubers and simmers and all that moving stuff before placing them, so it doesn't clip. So if you find yourself struggling, maybe that's what you're missing. And now we're only like fixing up a bit of the inside, some details that are missing. I added a bunch of books to the desk because I wanted it to be more of a bookworm vibe, and not a lot to see in the inside anymore. We are going to jump in a bit to the front of the build, which you haven't seen, because as I said a couple times by now, I did the outside first. Part of it was that I already had an idea of what I wanted the house to look like, so I built the outside. But as I said, I don't enjoy doing the layout after that, but also because I wanted to record this for YouTube, and I am so indecisive with the outside that I deleted all that. I said no one's gonna watch me do like 2 hours of the outside. So I decided to make the home like the shell of it and to start building from them. In the landscape of the front of the home, it was much simpler, or I think it was simpler for me because I had already chosen a lot of plants in the back, so I copied them and I moved them to the front, and I added that cow bush because I really needed that. But it was very simple. I only had this path of flowers if we're talking about plants, because I added a lot of stuff, but it's gonna be in the later section of this video. But it was just copying and pasting and making it very, very full, because I wanted you to come in, if you were to come in this place, and just have this little path. Now that I'm looking back, I'm regretting a lot of the decisions that I made, and one of it was that I didn't build it in a bigger space. But as I said, I had this idea of a tiny cottage. I mean, it looks great. I like it, but I think it could have been a bit better, if I'm being honest. And the bathroom, because now we're doing the bathroom, apparently, jumping from one spot to the other. Now, I think it looks too modern for the vibes of the home. It feels like it was built after the home. Maybe we can go for that storyline. Someone built the home, but it had like an outhouse, and then they added a bathroom to the home. they wanted it to be a bit more modern, so they had this tile and those white floors and everything white. Yeah, it looks a bit weird, but it's a bathroom. Okay, you can still have some cottage core vibes from this bathroom. Maybe, maybe not, but it's just part of like me trying to not make this annoying. So when I got very frustrated with one section, I just jumped to the other. But now when I'm watching the recording, it may be a bit confusing for you. I am trying to get better, I swear. If anyone is actually watching these videos, I will try to get better at it, and maybe to sound a bit more confident in my videos, and to be a bit more confident on my builds as well. Because I know that I'm talking a lot. I am actually capable of talking the entire video, but I get very nervous about it. And I am whispering a lot because when I listen back to the video, I notice that this is not the volume I use my voice at, but I am capable of speaking up. It's weird. It's weird. I like this. I like doing these videos. I am very excited every time I'm recording or I'm doing the voiceover. But when I listen to it, I sound so insecure, and I'm very sorry about that. I hope you don't get too bored. Now, in the bedroom, I'm very glad I changed that bed. I'm still not fully convinced on it because I wanted to use that rug. I wanted that rug in that color, and the beds weren't really matching, but I feel like that combination in the end worked out. Now, I wanted to add a bit more of activities, so I added this chess table, which there's not a lot of science to it. That's just a chess table, and like a lot of simmers, I love adding them on the front or on the backyard. But yeah, that was like mostly it. If you see the backyard, it has some lounge chairs, a couple of couches that we're gonna change, the chess, and the little grill. So there's not a lot to do in here. Now for the lighting or the illumination of the outside, I had to jump a bit into the debug and take these string lights. I had to raise them a bit, and I did have to place this kind of front view to make sure that they weren't clipping or floating around. It took me way too long. It took me longer than I would like to admit placing them. They were worth it though. They look great. They were a great addition. They are in debug as well. So you will need to open debug and search for them. But I think they were great. I didn't have a lot of string lights to work with. And I don't think I knew they were there, but I never used it. So that was a great way for me to explore the debug and to explore the pack and take advantage of this type of stuff, because we don't have uh, any, or do we have any string lights in the base game? So this looks great. I wanted to add more, so maybe there's a better way for them to be placed around, but I like this. I like the way they ended up. Being these the finishing touches of this space, a couple of details did not make it to the final cut of this video, but because they seem repetitive and irrelevant, so now I'm going to show you the full build on the tour of the home. I placed it on Hanford and Batchley, which I think it makes it look a lot better. There's the front yard with a couple more stuff in it. The backyard on live mode, it has some fireflies and some geese. And now on the front, there's a lot more decorations. There's a chicken coop. And the best part is that it's fully functional. So you can download this from the gallery and just start playing with it. Thank you so much for watching my video if you made it here. And don't forget to subscribe.